Good afternoon and welcome to our webinar. Our webinar today is on Data Viewer, the hidden power of InForm. Our speakers for today will be myself, Christy Lively, and Jeff Lindstad. And our moderator today will be Morgan Fowler, Client Engagement Specialist for Eclipse Clinical Technology. I'm the Vice President of Clinical Operations and Quality Compliance and have over 20 years experience in CRO operations and quality management. I oversee the operational divisions at Eclipse, which includes data management, services, and clinical supply teams. Jeff is the Vice President of Clinical Technology for Eclipse. His career includes executive roles in the development and execution of global healthcare initiatives. Jeff leads our strategic technology operations and formerly was employed by Phase Forward, where he designed technology solutions built on Phase Forward software. Our agenda for today will include an overview of the features and benefits of Data Viewer, and will focus on a demonstration of the Data Viewer tool. We also will have time for questions from our audience members at the end of the presentation. You may type your questions on the side panel, and we will answer as many questions as time allows. We will also email answers for any of the questions that we do not get to today. InForm EDC is where Data Viewer is found. I wanted to highlight that InForm EDC continually ranks #1 in customer satisfaction. It has thousands of trained users along with 100,000 plus InForm ready sites worldwide. InForm is used in over 115 countries and can accommodate mega trials with greater than 15,000 patients. The Data Viewer is part of the R&D Cloud platform of Oracle Health Sciences. It can easily collect and manage the increasing volume, complexity, and variety of today's clinical trial data. Here's a screenshot of a view into the Data Viewer, and I will zoom in on this for you in just a moment, plus you will see it during our demo. The Data Viewer feature inside InForm gives you 24/7 real-time actionable visibility into your data with a single click. No waiting for reports to run or having to program them. You can instantly review, work in, and manage your trial data across sites and visits. Here's a zoom view of what this will look like during your demo, and we'll give you an idea of what the pages will look like as you navigate through them. There is a built-in export to Excel on every screen. These can be easily filtered by site, subject, visit, and data status. You can also identify and filter on new or updated data from a previous review. Again, no wait time for any reports to run. And again, here's a zoomed view of this. In the left corner, you can see that you can filter by site, subject, visit, and state. You also have the option for updating since the last review or since a particular date. You also can drill down to a particular page and to a particular visit. You can navigate through multiple forms and perform actions right away, such as issuing a query directly from the Data Viewer. You can go between the actual CRF and the Data Viewer and navigate easily back and forth between the actual CRF and the Data Viewer tool. InForm can also provide customizable review workflows. Integrated with the Data Viewer, this feature allows you to track and review progress for the study. An example of this might be medical review. You can automate the process to take direct actions such as blocking particular data, like the medical review, for example, after it has been reviewed. This can help simplify the process, especially when multiple players may be involved, thus improving efficiency for your trial. Here are 4 views in the Data Viewer. Summary view, which provides summary data accounts across multiple form types grouped by visits or sites. A record listing view, which provides a display of clinical data per form that can span across sites, subjects, and visits. A record comparison view, which provides the side-by-side comparison of 2 record listing views. And a comments view, which provides a list of form and item comments for all sites, all visits, and all forms. And the user interface for each uses the same toolbar, filter, pagination, and column customization features. Also, there are data viewer icons which you can watch for inside the demo. These icons will appear in the data cells, in the records listing views, in the summary pane, and also in the form data table. I wanted to also make note that the data viewer does support blinded data and display overrides. None of the data blinded to the user will appear in any of their views. Using Data Viewer, your database lock can occur faster and with far less manual effort. You're able to lock a site, lock multiple sites, or even the entire trial in a matter of minutes. This significantly reduces study closeout time while also allowing real-time actionable visibility to your trial data, which in turn reduces errors and costs. This is a closer view of that process that we will see inside the demo. So the benefits of InForm Data Viewer: it does reduce your clinical trial cycle time, lowers risk, and removes the burden of tracking and managing multiple forms of data. You also, again, I want to highlight, do not have to conduct any programming. The reports will run easily and can be exported into Excel. And now I will pass the demo over to Jeff Lindstad, who will conduct this, and then again we will have time for questions at the end.
Hello everyone. Today my name is Jeff Lindstad, and today I'm going to give a brief demo of the InForm Data Viewer. To start, I'm going to go ahead and log in as a monitor into the InForm system. And logging in, as we get in, I'm going to go to the Data Viewer and show you a brief potential workflow for using the Data Viewer as a monitor. Summary by visits view. Here we're able to see all of our data by visits. If we wanted to, we can also go see all of our data by site. So here you see we have our site, our country, and a lot of information about our site, including the target verification rate and the percentage that we've actually achieved, along with a lot of other information that we're going to talk about a little later, this being medical different review states we have available to us. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and go back to our visits view. And as you can see over here on the left, we have a lot of options to be able to limit what we're looking at. So right here, we see down the left all of our different visits that we have available and the states of various forms inside of those visits. So for example, we can see that for the base visit, we have 10 forms that have open queries on them and 3 forms that have answered queries and 7 forms that have closed queries. We have 12 forms that are incomplete, 39 that have been completed, 3 are currently frozen, 2 are locked, and we can also see some of our verification information and our review state information. Just to give a brief overview of the review state, InForm allows you to set up to 5 different states, and basically that to help track different review points. So I can have a state set up for going through the review as a CDM review, a medical reviewer, or any other milestone that might be important to you. And as we go through and we actually view the data and have gone through and verified that all the data looks good, we can mark that as having been reviewed for a certain state. And we'll see an example of that as we move through the demo. So to begin with, I'm going to actually limit my data to just one visit, to just one site, my site 01, Mass General. And I'm also only going to look at data that's been updated since December 1st. So for example, imagine as a monitor, last time I was at Mass General was December 1st. And at this point, I'm only interested in data that's changed since then. So you'll see our numbers have grown significantly from the amount that we have that we had previously. And I'm going to focus on the completed forms at this point because I'm coming out to monitor these forms. We see we do have 6 forms available for monitoring. So to take a look at those, I'm just going to come over here and click on this number 6 in the baseline visit. I'm going to focus on my baseline visit. And I can come up and click Go to Records Listing. And here you can see all of the different forms that are available with data on them. And we have ourselves, we have a couple of different forms, including a data visit form and our subject identification and our site form. In this case, we do have a query on one of our forms. If I want to see some more information about that query, I can go ahead and click on the item itself and come down here and expand my information pane. And you can see if there was a query open here, date of visit is prior to screening date, please correct. And you can see it was actually an auto query that did occur. So if I actually wanted to go ahead and review this data, I could have froze it before I came in here. So in this case, let me go ahead and do that. And I'm going to go ahead and go back to our view listing. So we'll go back to our visits listing. And in this case, once again, I am going to filter it down to the Mass General Hospital, and I can save these different filters. For example, if I work primarily with this site, I can go ahead and save this, so all my data is automatically limited when I come in. And I'm going to go ahead and once again set my update date. So I'm going to set that back to December 1st. I'll apply my filters. This time, actually, instead of just looking at the baseline visit, I'm going to go ahead and look at all of my visits that have been completed. Now, the first step out, as I was going to monitor, might be that I want to freeze these forms so they don't change before I get to the site. To do that, once I've selected these completed forms, I just come up here and click the snowflake. And it's going to ask me if I want to go ahead and proceed with freezing all of these forms. And I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And now it's going to go through and automatically freeze these 17 forms for me. We can now see over here that we do have 17 frozen forms. I'm going to go ahead and select that, and I'm going to go to my record listing for my 17 frozen forms. We can see we have a few more data visits since I did select all the visits this time. So now, as I monitor this data, I may want to create some queries. I may want to verify the forms. Say I came across a couple of items that I need to create a query on. And I can come through here, and I can select the item that I want to create the query on. But I can actually also go ahead and select an additional item if it's going to have the same query on it. So I can actually create multiple queries at the same time. In this case, I have a small amount of data, but in the event that you had a large amount of data, this is going to be really, really helpful. Instead of having to go to every form and putting a query on the item, I'm actually going to be able to go in from this view, select the particular item I want to have data on, any other items that are similar, and create the query. Additionally, I can do some filtering that will help me limit that, the number of records here, and we'll look at that a little bit later. So now say I wanted to go ahead and add that query. I'm going to go ahead and click this button right here. It's this little question mark with a plus next to it. So it's going to ask me if I want to create a query in open state. Once again, I have my various predetermined choices, as well as I can type something in. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and select data does not match source and submit it. And once again, now you'll see this box come up, and we're going out and creating a couple of queries. And we can now see that our queries have appeared. And once again, if we had more interest in looking into a particular item, I can come in and expand this pane and see when the query is opened and who opened it. One thing I did mention a little bit earlier, although I didn't go into too much detail, is I am actually able to limit this data to things that have changed since a certain date. Now, you may have noticed some highlighting here, and that's indicating that this data has changed since that particular date, and that's what the highlighting actually does represent. Now, I can go ahead, say I want to, I've looked at these other two forms and they're good, and I want to actually mark them as verified. I can select both of those rows. And then I can come up here and mark as verified. I guess I actually did not select both rows. To do that, you must hold down the Control key, and apparently I didn't hit it. But we'll go ahead and we'll mark the other one as verified as well. So now that we have done and verified those records, I'm just going to briefly jump over to another data visit form. I was just trying to find something here that was highlighted with individual records highlighted, just to show you how it looks when you only change a singular piece of data. But we'll come across some of that a little bit later on in the presentation. So next I'm going to go ahead and take a look at go back to our visit view. And this time I want to take a look at some of our common visit information. So I'm going to select my common visit, and I'm going to go to the records listing. Here we can see all of our adverse event information. I can look at all of our concomitant medications as well, or our dosing record. But I'm going to go ahead and go back to our adverse event. Here we have all of our adverse event information. So instead of having to go through and review it at the form level, we can review it from this level. Right now, I'm not filtering on anything. I'm not filtering on any particular site. I can go ahead and filter on my site. We'll see we have a little less data there. And then once again, I can go and select a update date. So we'll go ahead and see if that gives us some information that we were looking for. So we'll go ahead and select that, apply it. And here you can see that there's been some updates to the sequences as well as the event and some of the other data on these forms that have actually occurred since December 1st. If I want to remove that, I clear that out and go ahead and remove that filter. One of the other features that's really nice is sometimes I want to compare data across multiple forms. So here we're looking at our adverse event, but what if I wanted to see what our adverse event information looked like in comparison to our ConMed information? I just come up here and do this pull down, open comparison view, and select ConMed, and we'll see my screen view changes, and now we have a split screen. On the top we have our adverse event information, and on the bottom we have our ConMed information. Say I wanted to look at ConMed only for subject 01005. I just select that subject, and now we see information only related to that subject. Now if I came down a little bit further and said, oh, I want to see it for 21616, I'm able to select that and see the information only related to 21616. All of this data also has some powerful filtering available as well. So although we don't have a lot of data here, I could come over and find a particular point I wanted to filter on, for example, serious AE. I could add a filter. Sorry, not the filter I was looking for. I can filter serious AE for anything that contains the word yes. And once I apply that, we can see I only have one serious adverse event. But once again, if I had a lot of data here, I would be able to limit it to just serious AEs. And now, once I click on that, I can see that so on that subject, I can see I actually do not have any ConMeds that are actually related to that serious AE. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to our visit view. And here, always another pain point within InForm in the past has been going through and reviewing all of your reviewing all your comments. It's not obvious where the comments are. They could be on every form, on any form. So you have to really look at any form that is in the study, every form that's in the study to find all your comments. The data viewer, on the other hand, provides you a nice facility to do that. We can come up here and click View Comments. It's going to provide you a listing of all the comments in the study. And if you want to see a little bit more detail, you just go ahead and click on View Record Listing. Once you've selected a row, click View and Records Listing. And it's going to bring that row right up here for you, and it's going to select it so you know which row you're looking at, so you can look at the other data on that particular row. And then you can do that for any other comments you have as well. Actually, if I go back to that comments view, you'll notice here we have, once again, our filters, so we can filter any items we want. If you want to filter on a particular type of comment. We also have this little Excel button. And once again, you'll notice that little Excel button pretty much everywhere in here. And what that does is allows you to quickly export any of the data that you have on your screen at the time into Excel for generating reports or anything that forms that you can review. And once again, even the high level, we're able to go ahead and export so you have a nice view of what's going on inside the system that you can generate at any given point in time. So that's a nice potential workflow for our CRA or our monitor. Here I've gone through. Now maybe I want to unfreeze those forms. So once again, I can do anything that's changed since yesterday. You click Apply, and you'll be able to see any forms that have been frozen. And we can go ahead and unfreeze them. So in this case, we can unfreeze those forms and make them available again. Next, I'm going to go ahead and log out of the CRA user, and we're going to take a look at some of the functionality as a CDM user. So really the two main users of the data viewer will be the CRA users or monitors and the CDM users. Along with, of course, any project managers that may want to run some reports or using that data, especially the higher level data in the system. and it really reduces the workflow involved in actually monitoring data. So as we come in here, once again, I can limit my data to a certain site. And I can limit my data since the last time I reviewed it or since the last time it was updated. So if I want to go ahead and maybe look at any data that's changed in the last week, we can see anything that's changed in the last week. Maybe I want to go ahead also and look at some of my forms that have already been verified. So for example, if I wanted to take a look at all of my forms that have been verified, I can just go ahead and select verified forms, go to my records, and here we can go through and step through each form and take, or each form and see the data associated with it. Now, as I'm going through that, I can select a particular record to take action on, or once I've gone ahead and reviewed everything, I can come back out to my visits view, take a look at all of my, go to all my verified forms, and lock them. This is going to go ahead and lock all of my verified forms at once, so they can't be changed. So once we've gone through and done that, all those forms are now locked. Now, in the event that you had something like a interim analysis, which used to be really difficult to go through and lock all the forms for, and say I need to lock all the forms in the study, if I need to go do something like that using the data viewer, I would just make sure that I have all sites selected, all visits selected. I would come down and see all of my not complete forms, all of my complete forms. I would select those two things, and then come up and click lock, and that's going to go ahead and lock every started form inside of my study. So I can now do that. Something that used to take hours to days, I can now actually accomplish in a matter of minutes or moments. And that will, that's a really nice workflow as we go through and actually lock that for an interim study. And unlocking them is just as quick if I want to unlock all of my forms. Now, I had mentioned the different review states, and we see up here we have some different review states. We can see how many forms actually need to be reviewed versus are pending review and have been reviewed. We haven't really talked about how you review them. And once again, those are individual states that you set up. Here we have a demonstration of a data review and a medical review. So I'm going to go ahead, actually, and select this row and an item on that. And we can come through over here, and I can actually just mark this as reviewed. I can put a comment. And go ahead and continue with that. And once again, I could do multiple, as you can see, we're bringing up the one of one, but I could do the whole, so all the pages related at one time by selecting all of them. So that's how quickly we were able to do a review, and that's just to help mark and represent different states as you're going along. Now, once again, we could also only highlight that data that's actually changed since my last review. So that's kind of a high-level overview of the data viewer. I hope you enjoyed the brief demo, and if you have any questions, please feel free to raise them, and thank you very much for your time.